What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, helping all of us feel better, look better, do better, just be better every damn day of our lives. And our Sunday night show, presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Muskox is now offering bundles for their heavyweight flannels for the fall, for the winter, and you can save up to $50 on your purchase by bundling your flannels. Visit gomuskox.com/caw to create your bundle. Again, gomuskox.com/caw, create your bundle today. Get yourself ready for the fall. And the Father's Day bundles were such a success, they decided to bundle other things, which is really cool to hear. Yeah, Jason, how you doing, man? Riding right up into my rectum, and it was painful.
Have I officially hit middle age when I see rain and I go, you know what? The lawn could have used it. Yeah, it's nice. And we need some rain. I'm like half dead, right? I mean,
I think
welcome to middle age.
I think you're just human when it doesn't rain for like a month.
No.
I
never cared about whether or not it rained or not, or whether my grass was on fire. So, I mean, I'm trying to accept it, but it just realized I was like how kind of excited I was about rain.
I like a good storm, so I've always been excited about that. I like thunder. I like rain. I like gloomy days. I'm not a huge fan of the sun.
You like a cold, gloomy, shut-in weather.
Pretty much.
All right,
58 degrees and cloudy. I could do it like 340 days a year with great happiness. So, yeah,
all right.
There's
it's just old. Getting old sucks. Gavin Haas, I know you're like 24 by now, so enjoy your young age.
When Gavin turns 24, we're going to be like 70, so that's not...
because he's been 16 for like 5 years. It's amazing.
It is remarkable. We should do an age check on Gavin just to
see an ID here.
Yeah, just to see what he is. We are going to dig into our hot takes and yours as we
Didn't we do a show yesterday?
It feels like it, but
okay.
it was 2 days ago. It's Friday.
Dust off that Carmen Electra take.
There's been a lot that's happened. You know, MSU football on a little bit of a recruiting heater, so to speak.
That's all you, though.
Guy named Anthony Scuda Carey. Good nickname, Scuda, for a running back.
Nice.
You gotta like that. You know, the one thing I was thinking about though, I'm seeing the photos of Mel Tucker with these guys, and he makes $95 million, so it's worth it. But some of that pays for your loss of dignity standing next to a teenager, pointing at him, sitting in a throne, like a king's throne, pointing at a teenager. Like, man, you better pay me because that shit sucks.
And you have to act like you're excited about it,
yeah,
too.
Man. Gosh.
In a slingshot with a 17-year-old kid having to kiss his ass.
Whatever. But just this sort of the symbolism of 17-year-old who hasn't done shit, sitting in a throne, you're standing next to him pointing.
And we want these kids to be normal.
Yeah, right.
How is that fucking possible?
Cut me a check, please.
You put me in a king throne right now, I'm going to be like, where's my money at?
Yeah.
What are you guys doing? Give me a water.
It's not.
But we want these kids to act normal, you
know. I wonder what Mel thinks when he goes home at night. Like, oh, man.
He looks at his bank account.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm
Checks
good.
that Wells Fargo account.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah, it was worth it today.
Absolutely. Hey, you know what? If it's what it takes to do the job, we all do things that we must, I just wish we could have like a moment inside his head. And next time I interview him, I think I'll ask
What
him
about
that.
guys that aren't making Mel Tucker money, though? They're still making a good 6-figure salary, but you have to do it, and you're still having to put kids in king chairs. Oof.
Yeah, not a whole lot of fun. All right, well let's dig into these hot takes. You want to lead us off?
I don't know. Do you have a Michigan State thing that you want to?
I mean, I can go that route.
Go ahead.
Sure. Okay, I'll lead us out. I got a couple different MSU takes. So I'll start with this one though. This latest bit of recruiting momentum is why some degree of success and positive vibes this season is important. And one of our favorite listeners, Eric Schultz has hammered this point home to me quite often. I think some others have too. But this is where recruits see momentum, right? They're not often big picture people. I don't want to say teenagers are generally dumb, but they're more easily influenced. Not that adults who follow this stuff are all that rational either. But where MSU does have an advantage right now, I think, with the kids who are pledging to them now over last season, is that this time these kids are saying they're coming after a 5-7 season. Like there's a more realistic sense of what the program is, where it is, and the trajectory it's on than maybe a year ago when they were coming off 11-2 season and everything was hyped. And then they hit some struggles early, and it's like, oh, wait a second, what is this? If they struggle a little bit now, my guess is the conversation's been had. This is what we're trying to build. It's going to take a minute. By the time you show up in 2024, that's when we're hoping to be rolling, and there's less shock of it. That said, you don't want 2-4. You don't want things. You do want some positive vibes. You do need some things this season where it feels like the program is building or gaining momentum. You need certain types of wins. You don't have to have a great record, but if you beat Michigan or you look great against Ohio State or whatever it is, you got to have some moments where it feels like, things are in the right direction. I think that's where, and sure, for some fans, it'll be important now, but fans will come around whenever they start winning. You can go 3-9 this year, and if you go 10-2 next year, guess who's going to be there? The people are pissed off this year. They'll be all good.
But you're not a true fan if you don't grind through the 3-9 seasons.
Yeah, you should. But I'm just saying the people you can actually lose are the guys who are so-called committed. You're not going to lose the fans. So that's where it matters this year. I think that's the only thing. I don't say the only, but that's where
you really think you can't lose the fan though. I think it can get to a point. I'm not saying they will never ever come back, but I mean, I think you could.
Look at you and the Lions.
Yes. Yeah, it's terrible. I wouldn't wish that upon anyone.
I'm just saying, but you come back.
I have to. I have nothing else. But I think people that are rational Michigan State fans are like, I could deal without college sports.
A lot of them have nothing else either. I didn't mean to say it like that because that's a lot of our listeners. Fix that in post before they hear it. I didn't mean that either. But it's not the same thing. But a lot of them are all in, I should say.
All right.
And so they're going to be there. Now, there are other things that could drive people away over time, and college sports in general could be less fun as this becomes more and more like pro sports, and there could be lots of reasons that people are less excited about it and less invested in it over time. But it's not going to – one bad season, while people will doubt Mel Tucker, while people will be frustrated, while there'll be a lot of barbs being thrown at them, if they were to do that this year and then the following year be terrific, people would come right back. That's all I'm saying. But for recruits, that's where it matters. And you just, I do think, though, the kids that are on campus right now on these official visits and the kids you're landing, so to speak, if they stick, are more likely probably to stick because they're coming into a situation with a greater understanding of where things actually really are. What is your first hot take?
Buenos tardes. It is time for the Detroit Tigers Gambling Update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nee.
I officially hate this team, Graham. I don't know what to do with this team anymore. The way they blew that game today. I mean, I don't mind making money off this team, especially with the over. I know it took 10 innings to hit, but Nick Maton today. And shout out to A.J. Hinch for sending him down immediately after the game because he blew that throw to first base. But, I mean, what else did you need to see from him? I appreciate that you sent him down immediately because everybody and their brother was like, Nick Maton, what the fuck is he still doing? I mean, the guy has 200 at-bats and he's hitting 160. That's what you needed to see. That was the end of it all. I mean, the 3.5 games back, the 4.5 games back, and people are like, you know what, this might be able – are you fucking kidding me? Have you watched this team? They can't hit worth a shit. They leave everyone on base, so why were we ever getting fooled? I hate this team so much, Graham. Either you suck ass this year, just suck ass, or what are you doing? I know the division's ass, but losing games like this, I don't know. I mean, I try to tune in every night and watch the Tigers, but if they keep playing like this, it's just so frustrating.
They're the worst kind of team. They're not bad enough to be reliable to bet against, and they just tease you every once in a while a little bit to think there's some hope, partly because they're in this god-awful division. And so,
but even apart from the division, is there anyone on the team currently that another team would want? Lang, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
people will take a flyer on
in the field.
Torkelson and
Torkelson
and Kerry Carpenter for sure.
Right. But how much would you get in return for either of those
you're
guys?
Not going to trade those guys. You're not
I understand that, but I'm saying if you don't have anything that other teams want, how on earth do you think that this team could be competitive in any scenario in the postseason?
Well, and I mean, today was particularly frustrating because that errant throw when they're up 3-2 is the reason they lose.
But so, Erie's going to the playoffs or whatever minor league, how they do that. I mean, you're telling me there's no one in our system that could take Nick Maton's place, a younger guy, anyone with some sort of promise. And Nick, believe me, I felt bad for him when he made that error. You could see on his face, he's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to ride a bus again. This is going to be
You've been struggling for a while.
So I feel bad, but it's like you put this guy in the lineup, you're letting him die in front of everyone. I just don't – that's why with Hinch, I just don't understand why we just let it get to that point.
I do think the guys that they like that are younger aren't ready for this. And you do not want – I think what you see with a guy like Torkelson is, and Torkelson did plenty in the minors. But what I mean is you can do damage if you bring a guy up before he's ready. There's no need to do that in this particular season. It's frustrating. It's going to be a frustrating year.
Then every day we should say Al Avila is ass. Every morning when we wake up. If we have to look at this fucking team and we can't go, bring anyone up to the big leagues to take Nick Maton's or Jonathan Scope's spot. Really, are we going to hinder anyone's progress? If you get up to the big leagues, there's really no pressure.
No,
you can't hit any worse than these guys.
There's nothing more definitive in this world than Al Avila being ass. And so I think you can say that as you say your prayers at night or in the morning or whatever, and you can add that to just general statements because you're not wrong.
With that being said, the Texas Rangers this series, I think the over. If you look at certain spots, I think the over could be. I mean, wouldn't expect the Tigers to kind of help you out, but the Rangers score a lot of runs.
I'm just betting against the Tigers. Are
you?
Right. Yeah.
All right. I'm ready. I'm just sick of this team, and then, like you said, it's the worst because then you're betting against your team. Then they pull some shit out of their ass, and you're like,
you can't even enjoy it.
Yeah. All right.
No.
Anyway,
they're the worst. They're the worst this year. It's not a fun. It's not.
We have a good team.
Yeah. I'm
anywhere,
and this ought to be an off season that we see a little bit of spending to start to move toward that. We've been saying that for a while.
Would anyone want Javi Baez right now? If you offered to pay like 70% of his, get him out of there. I mean,
I think if you paid 70% of his salary, somebody would take him.
It would be a smart move.
But it would not be. I would not advise.
Well, that's why I'm not a general manager. I just would do things out of spite, or if I lost a bet, or
the number of trades you would make a season. Be like, this is his 41st move this year. He doesn't really have a roster left.
It's the third week of the season.
Yeah,
what's going on here?
It was frustrating. He traded Riley Green for that error he made in week 3, which is probably not a great move. All right, my second hot take. I think we should be more sophisticated when we talk about what this MSU football team is or expectations for it in terms of win total, right? We sort of label a team and picture them as you say, well, I think this is a 7-win team because it feels like it should be. Or I think this is a 6-win team, a 5-win team, a 9-win team, whatever it is. But we say it blindly. Right. But what I mean is we don't consider the schedule. We need to consider the schedule when we need to be more sophisticated in our analysis, in our expectations, because this MSU football team could actually win 5 games and be a 7-win team. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But what I mean is, in terms of what we're picturing, the level and the quality, given the difficulty of the schedule, a team can be just about the same one year to the next, and changes in the schedule are what ultimately changes how many games they win. And so if this MSU team is what we consider a 7-win team or a 6, they'll probably win 5 games. That's how tough the schedule is this year. So I think we do need to recalibrate expectations for that. If the schedule turns out to be as unforgiving and as treacherous as it appears, and again, a lot of times what appears in June isn't what really is. Like, we have no idea what Maryland football is going to be this year. Will Washington be better or as good as they were a year ago? What is Iowa? What's the drop-off at Iowa? There are lots of things we don't know. Where is Rutgers' development of a program? But when I look at this schedule, it is easy to see where if 3-9 could happen. And I cannot possibly see where anything better than 8-4, and that would be just magic in winning every game you could, just based on what I think these teams will be. So that's how difficult this schedule is. And if Michigan State's 8-4, I think there are years where that would translate to 9-3 or 10-2. Washington is a really difficult opponent at home. Maryland early could be tough. At Iowa, the end of September, we'll see what they are. We don't know. But I even think some of the road games and some of the games against like Rutgers and Indiana, teams they ought to beat, those are still road games that against teams that are especially Rutgers, that a program that's probably taking steps. Nebraska, we don't know. But the fact that you end a season with your final 6 weeks with Michigan, at Minnesota, at Ohio State, and Penn State at Ford Field is 4 of them. Like that is a wicked schedule, and I think we just need to, when we're sort of saying it's a 7-win team. Well, if you're saying 7 wins the way you usually think 7 wins, then think 5. This schedule is that tough.
But we also don't know how good Michigan State is going to be.
Correct.
I mean, Noah Kim could come in. I mean, who knows what the offensive line is going to look like?
Doubt.
Maybe things come together, right? So maybe. I know you're doing it for a hot take, but I understand. I get what you're trying to do.
But this is also why I'm so against like the 8 home games that Michigan's playing, right?
But if you can get away with it, why wouldn't you do that?
Well, right. But people, their own people need to call them out because it inflates what people think of a season. 500, for example, a 500 season is winning the number of home games you have. That's all it is. A 500 season in the NFL is, well, there is no 500 season anymore, but it used to be when there were 16 games, right? It was 8-8, but you knew you're playing 8 home, 8 in the road. If you have 7 home games, that ought to be your baseline in terms of. I've always said if you have 5 home games, as many mid majors do, going 5-7 is as impressive as going 8-4. If Michigan went 8-4 this year with 8 home games, like it's just this. But Michigan State's schedule, even with the 7 home games this year, I just think is potentially wickedly difficult, and I don't think it's being calibrated into expectations and into just sort of our standard line of this team can do this or this team can do this. And when we say, well, it might be a 5-7 season, and it sounds insulting, a 5-7 season probably would have got you 7 wins other years with a different schedule. I don't know if that makes sense. That is my second hot.
All right. I don't know if you saw this game last night, Graham, but the Angels played at the Colorado Rockies. We know the high air, the elevation can make things kind of crazy in these games, but as I tuned in the 3rd inning where the Angels scored 13 runs and then proceeded to score 8 runs in the 4th inning, I began to think, like, because we want Chris Ilitch to sell the team. And I think that if you give up, they didn't give up 30 runs. It was 25-1. But if you give up 30 runs, I feel like you should have to sell your baseball team. That should be a rule. I mean, it was close last night, right? You imagine, I mean, I know you like the relegation thing in soccer, but if that was hanging up there, I mean, these guys are professionals. I don't want to hear any of the off night and the elevation. 25-1 and you're a professional baseball player? That's ridiculous. You shouldn't have a team if you get beat 25-1.
Well, if you talk to people who live in Denver or have lived in Denver, and Friday night I was talking to somebody who lived out there for a while, and one of the things they'll tell you is the reason the owners don't get is they've realized it's just a tourist trap. It's just like people don't even watch the game. They know people will come in. They don't care about the team, but they'll do well in Denver because it's such a hot spot. Like they don't have a lot of their attendance is not like hardcore fans.
But is that really filling the stadium though? That just random people coming into Colorado? I mean,
I don't know. This is one person's analysis of a party I was at Friday night, so I'm going to take it as
they may be right. I'm just saying. I mean, it would put something on it to where you'd have to have your shit together in case you give up 30 runs. All of a sudden, you wake up the next day. Oh, I guess I have to sell the team.
Yeah, that seems severe, but it's certainly.
I know, but we let these owners in baseball just sit around and what do we have to put out $70 million? Okay, and people never go to these games. I mean, it's just.
I think
some of the owners that don't even care anymore.
I think the floor in baseball should be higher. I wish there was a salary cap at like $300 million, and I wish the floor was like $100 million. There should be a floor,
but you can't. You'll never get that because there'll be a strike, and
I wouldn't. I mean, you know, you
for a salary cap, the players' union.
See, but if I were the players' union, I would be interested in the total revenue that's coming in, or total salaries for the players. If you had a higher floor, you might convince them. The cap would have to be high. They're not going to go for somehow they've gotten a stronger union than any of the other sports here, but they're not going to go for the caps that other sports have or the hard cap that the NHL has, and don't need to. But if you raise the floor so the players feel like there's more money coming into some of the clubs that aren't spending, maybe they would. If the same amount of money was going to the players on average, maybe they would be up for a cap to have a higher floor, especially if the cap was around where the top teams were spending anyway most years. I don't know.
It still annoys me that, Shohei Ohtani, I know the Angels they have a winning record, and hopefully they can get into the playoffs, but he's pretty much gone after the year. And the Tigers, the fact that we won't, I know there's no chance of it happening, but to have Illich, at least, someone, maybe Scott Harris throws an offer of $600 mil. So the fans feel like we're involved. Maybe we actually want to try. A no is okay. A no is okay to hear. Right?
Yeah.
I would be okay with hearing Shohei Ohtani's people like, nah. So then it's publicized that you offered Shohei Ohtani a deal. Fans are happy.
It would be a lot of fun to have Shohei Ohtani in Detroit.
My God.
It'd be sweet.
It's just weird that there's no even talk about it, though. This guy's a once-in-a-lifetime player.
Truly is a once-in-a-lifetime player. You and I in our lifetimes have not seen anything like him.
Babe Ruth. That's it. I wasn't alive.
No. All right, third hot take from me. Couple NBA draft picks I love. Trace Jackson-Davis to the Warriors late in the second round. Jalen Pickett to the Nuggets early second round. Jalen Pickett from Penn State, the point guard who was so damn good for the Nittany Lions this year. Trace Jackson-Davis, we know, from Indiana. I think NBA teams, and look who took them, right? It's the Warriors, highly successful, sophisticated franchise, and the Nuggets, a team that's looking for guys to contribute who are, champions right now. NBA teams tend to struggle to see it. Older college players who know how to play and win should be drafted higher than they are. Most guys, like you draft 20-year-olds thinking, well, there's a flyer and potential, and I guess I don't want them to be old quickly. Most guys aren't going to be on your team for 12 years anyway. Why not add a 23-year-old who can actually play? Like if you look at the history, there are tons of examples. Draymond Green is one of them. Jalen Brunson, 4-year guy out of Villanova. Malcolm Brogdon from Virginia, 4-year guy. Trace Jackson-Davis is going to play in Golden State. That guy can do too much. He will be perfect there. He's not going to play a huge role, but he's going to have a role, and I think he'll be in that rotation, and they got him at the end of the second round. I think Jalen Pickett is a guy who goes and will fit with what they do in the Nuggets and will play. He will be in the rotation, second-round pick, and those guys should be going. I'm not saying you reach in the top 10, but a lot more of those guys should be going 15 to 30 instead of 30 to 60.
But if you're in the top 10, do you really want a 23-year-old guy?
That's what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Not in the top 10. I'm saying 15 to 30. A lot more of those guys ought to be going.
But if you are like a veteran kind of guy, a college guy away though from winning. But if you're starting over, do you really want those kind of guys?
But look who these guys are. Jalen Brunson's one of the top guards in the league, and there are people who will tell you they knew it. Players who played with him, in college and early, and pros who saw him play in college. Draymond Green. It would be like the third or fourth pick if you redid the 2012 draft. He went 35th. There's just a number of these guys who I just don't get it. And I understand that people think their ceiling is low, but was Jalen Brunson's ceiling really that low? Malcolm Brogdon, sixth man of the year, really good guard. Like I struggle to see why NBA teams struggle with these guys. Two guys to watch: Trace Jackson-Davis, Jalen Pickett. They're going to be successful NBA players, and they're going to play early for two really good teams.
So you're saying that you should be a general manager?
I'm saying I should be
Weaver out of there, couch in.
I'm saying I should be an advisor. Yeah.
That's fair.
Look, Isaiah Livers is another guy the Pistons took who, if he stays healthy, he's going to be a contributor in the NBA for a decade. And second-round guy with a lot of experience. Another really good pick. What is your third hot take?
Well, I was at the gas station this evening, and of course I was stuck behind someone doing their lottery things, and we've done that take before of, please, I understand you like your lottery. I'm a gambler too, but I'd like to get out of people's way and not act like I own the whole place. But I did see on the sign, though, the Michigan Lottery donated $27 billion since 1972. And this has always fascinated me, Graham. Do you think, yes or no, it would be a good investigative story as a journalist to kind of look in to see where this money has been allocated?
Well, a lot of money goes to education. That's the whole point.
I know, but why is it that schools are always crying poor, but we've had I feel like $27 billion with a B is a lot of money. Listen, understand I'm the Rube. I'm uneducated.
Right,
I would like to learn more about where this money goes, because when I hear a figure, I understand it's from 1974. It's a long time. But B, billion, that seems like it's a lot of money, and we shouldn't have issues with schools, right? If it's generating that much cash, I figure our schools should be set.
There's a lot of ways to fix schools. I just get rid of school choice, but no.
But I'm saying, if you're talking, if
Say it out loud.
you're hearing that there's being generated billions of dollars being handed over to schools, and it's like, well, if you kind of dig in a little bit to see where it's going, it's just, I don't know. But listen, blame the person I was standing behind, because I was getting angry at the Michigan lottery.
I'll bring it up in tomorrow morning's news meeting.
All right.
I'll be like, at the 8:30 meeting. Maybe
I'm wrong.
This is the story. No, it's a Matt Mancarini. Dig into this.
Right.
Let's go, man.
That's right. He's back.
He's back.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get at it. Yeah, for
if
sure.
he needs any of my notes, just let me.
Yeah. I'll
give my number.
Yeah, I'll send him. I'll just send him the tape from the show. And all right, are you ready to dig into these listener hot takes?
I guess so. Eric Schultz up first, of course. Number 1, Graham's column on Lansing was spot on. Really well done. 2, MSU would be better off signing a 25-kid class with 6 4-stars than getting 7 4-stars with just 16 total kids again. Hopefully, this newest big pledge triggers a wave of pledges. 3, while the exodus of state workers has been the biggest negative change, I think part of what hurts downtown Lansing is how the social districts aren't really walkable distances from one another, as well as the rise of downtown East Lansing as a viable go-to spot.
So these are really good from Eric, is per usual. Let's do number 1 first on the I do think that there's something to that. I mean, ultimately, you want to have players that you value. You don't want to be settling for a lot of guys. But they probably do need to have a bigger class this year. Would they be better off with like 5 4-stars and, a full class of 25 guys versus 8 4-stars and 16? It depends what they become. I mean, that's just so hard to know, because you can look at some of the classes throughout time at Michigan State where the 4-stars really didn't pan out, and some of the other kids really did. But there's probably something to that. And ultimately, on signing day, people can say what they want. What matters is what happens in the fall. And one of the beauties of when signing day is now is there's less. I think signing day ought to be later. I think it would be better if it was later. But one of the nice parts about where it is there's just not time for trash. It's still in the freaking season. It's before bowl games. Like this, it just comes up on you, and there's less trash talk, and you've just finished the season. Your record still matters more. It's not this season unto its own, so to speak. To number 3, with and what he's referencing here is the column I wrote last week on Lansing and its downtown, and some of the things that need to happen. Would be nice if they happened, and sort of the personal accountability we all need to have if we care and we live around here, rather than just talking a big game, and things that I wish MSU was more invested. The interim president wrote a column sort of about their investment in the general area, but the investment in Lansing has been piss poor, and they've not been a great partner with downtown Lansing and with Lansing in general to some degree. They're just not as invested as they could be. There's no question about that. And there have been things with like Cata that they nipped in the butt. I just don't want to. In the overall Lansing area, yeah, they're a partner, but they could do more without question. To his point about the social districts, though, that is a problem. And one of Lansing's problems has always been, and I wrote this in the column, that we are just big enough for things to work, but not big enough for everything to work. So when something somewhere starts and succeeds, some other district or something else usually fails. We've seen it even with downtown, with blocks within downtown, where a certain area does well, but this area then doesn't. And right now, Rio Town's got a little bit of momentum. Old Town's got some momentum, and it's just hard to get it all to work. But we need downtown to have a certain level of liveliness, and there are certain things they could have. A couple more, obviously downtown living is a big part of that, and affordable housing and all that stuff. But a couple places that you want to take people when they come out of town, like sort of like we always take people to, I do a lot of stuff with From 43 and Midtown Brewing Company and all that, but also the Graduate Hotel Rock Bar Rooftop in East Lansing. Like that sort of place overlooking the Capitol in downtown Lansing, and I think that's the plan where City Hall is right now. That sort of thing needs to – a place that the first place you think, I'm taking somebody from out of town. We're going out tonight. Where should we go? That place is cool. They need more of those.
David Jackson next, number 1. Iserman's first-round pick will be a productive player on the top 2 lines or second defensive pairing by 25 to 26. 2, the Pistons will never finish as high as the top 4 in the East with Cade Cunningham as their best player. 3, if Cohen Carr can simply make free throws, he'll be better than Brendan Dawson.
So these are good from David here. The one on the Pistons is, that's the fear that Cade and either Duren or Ivy, 2 of those guys need to become bona fide dudes, because the only way to win big now, especially with the new second apron salary restrictions and all that stuff, is to hit on these guys, and you can only pay so many of them, and you can't pay guys who aren't truly studs. And so they need Cade to be that, and he needs to be great. And if they're not, then you have to have hard conversations and move on from people. That's the new NBA. The days of everybody gets a big contract because it's just your turn. Screw that. Nope. Move on and cut bait, and I'm good with it. And that's just going to have to be the way it is.
Well, it's kind of like Andre Drummond and KCP. It's like everybody was like, oh, you got to re-sign Drummond to a max, right? I mean, remember every once in a while he'd get 25 rebounds or something. You're like, oh, yeah. But
empty
then
stats. God, he was awful.
Yeah, I despised him.
But to your point, yeah, in like KCP, part of the problem the Pistons had for a while is they were drafting all these guys who were good role players, but they were drafting them needing stars, and that was KCP.
KCP wanted max money too.
Yeah, which didn't make any sense. To the point on Cohen Carr, if he's better than Brandon Dawson, that will be a hella get, because like hella get. What am I? 12? Just cut that. Fix that. Jesus, that's the worst. People heard me say that. That sucks. Because like Brandon Dawson, like he had lots of warts. There are things he never developed. He wasn't a great ball handler, obviously. He never really developed an outside shot. But he was the difference maker. And like that 2015 run he had 24 and 10 against Virginia. What he did in the Big Ten tournament against Michigan. And the Michigan coaches, I remember them telling Sean Windsor that. He had a conversation where they just said, that's the dude we don't have. Like, he was just a physical presence of another kind. And, he was the reason they couldn't get out of the Sweet 16 Draymond senior years, because he blew out his knee. If Cohen Carr could be Brandon Dawson, you sign up for that tomorrow.
I'll be Tony Dombrowski.
Peacock.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go nuts. Maybe Next. Number 1, back in Michigan for a week or so, I missed the Midwest Nice. Where else is the Hertz guy going to call me on the plane and then chat through the entire 15-minute rental process?
Absolutely.
2, sometimes I pick a slightly less convenient routing because I want to ride on a specific type of plane. And 3, Denver has some of the worst pro ownership. Broncos are Walmart heirs. Nuggets and Avs are Kroenke, also Walmartish. An extortionist who does media blackouts in Denver, so you can't watch the teams win unless you buy his premium Comcast channel, and the Rockies are cheap ass.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like much fun. First of all, maybe welcome back to Michigan, where the state where 4 out of 5 Great Lakes prefer.
What does it mean by specific type of plane? Like an actual, like a different, like a 747 you need to be on?
Maybe she's got private plane. That's a good
next level, huh?
Yeah, that's.
I'm pretty much like, as long as it's not Spirit.
As long as you're going to land, is the idea.
So no Spirit.
No Spirit. Yeah, there's certain. I don't want to deal with companies where I don't have. Like, I feel like there's no recourse if things go wrong, and I've been scared off like all the shit that happened even with Southwest. Like, was it over the holidays whenever they had like 1 million people? Just they couldn't. Everything was stranded. Their whole system was down. That scared me off Southwest. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I like to know that if things go wrong, they're going to take care of you to a certain degree. For sure.
Andrew Gauthier next. Number 1, the PGA hosting a designated event immediately after a major seems to take a little bit of buzz out of it. 2, did anyone else need an Advil after the humming of the U.S. Open broadcast? And 3, if 80% of these MSU football commits stick, MSU is looking solid going forward.
So what do you think would be – 80% would be an incredible number. for any school, I think, at this point. I think
In
if
today's college football, yes.
yeah, I think like 2/3. If you can get 2/3 of the guys who originally say they're coming to show up, and then if you can get another 2/3 of the guys who show up to never transfer out, you've won. Like, that's really where it's at right now. So that puts you at less than 50% of the guys who actually, quote, commit, who are actually going to stay with your program. But that's today. That's and I bet that's the number is. And those are things that we ought to start to look into as we get more and more into this transfer portal, one-time transfer rule era. You know, how many of the guys are actually staying, going for, how many of the guys, what's the percentage? And because I think the percentage will tell us how excited people should be when guys actually do pledge. And if the odds are that they're greater than 50%, they're going to stick with the program and do a few years and be productive, then maybe there's still something to it.
All right, Spartan 18770 next. Number one, the most important players in the D'Antonio era were Jack and Brian Allen. Those two anchored a line that saw the program to its greatest heights in 40 years. Since they left, the line has never been close. 2, by mid-October, every MSU fan will be wondering why Noah Kim did not start last year. And 3, let's all stop the charade and start paying college players. A contract will stop all the transfer chaos of the past few years. We all know where this is heading.
Also, by mid-October, you are going to definitely want a muskox high-quality flannel. So don't wait till October, and when all of a sudden you're like, man, this would be nice to have at a football game. Get yourself ready now. Obviously, they have great summer offerings as well, lighter flannels that are great for cool summer nights by the lake, by a campfire out in the backyard. But they also have their fall flannel offerings, which you can bundle right now. Again, go muskox.com/caw-caw and save up to $50 on your flannel purchases as you bundle together and be ready for October when it rolls around. We just have no idea what Noah Kim is going to be. We have no idea what Caton Hauser is going to be. I don't think these guys are bad quarterbacks. And I also don't think, though, even if Noah Kim has success, that necessarily means he was in a place last year where MSU was better off with him as the starter. I mean, that team was beat up. There are a lot of things going wrong, and it may have gone haywire, and he may have lost his confidence entirely. They may have, in some ways, thrown Peyton Thorne to the wolves, even though he was beaten up. Given the situation, that may have been what was best for Michigan State. And I don't disagree with Jack Conklin. There's an argument like he is the most. And Brian Allen, Jack Allen, too. I mean, that era of
the Allen family.
Yeah, the Allen family. But Jack Conklin, he's saying Jack and Brian Allen, but I would say Jack Conklin. When you look at the record they had with him on that left side of the line protecting Connor Cook, there's an argument he was the most important player of the D'Antonio era.
Matt C. next. Number one, MSU quarterbacks Noah Kim or Caton Hauser outplay Peyton Thorne this year. Thorne gets benched at Auburn during SEC play as those SEC West defenses eat him alive. 2, Keon Coleman is a bust at FSU. He was way overhyped by MSU fans. He runs terrible routes and isn't smart enough to learn a new playbook in 3 months.
Yeah, I don't buy that. Look, I do think he's somebody who took a minute to get the offense down at Michigan State. He was a little raw when he came in, but he's a pretty seasoned player at this point. He led him in catches last year, right? And I don't think he'll be a bust. If he is a bust, then they're not using him right. A decent coordinator can get a lot out of Keon Coleman. And, Peyton Thorne at Auburn, we'll see. It's obviously a brutal schedule. It's a program that I have no idea how good they're going to be this year. It's his chance to prove that, a lot of people were wrong about him.
But what if he does well?
That's
the big question.
That could happen. And that's, that would be, this could go the other way. I mean, they could be like 9-3 and Peyton Thorne could have a great year down there and the quarterbacks at Michigan State struggle. And then there's a lot more validity to the idea that he was banged up last year and he really should have just been the guy.
But it wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
Ken Chu next. Number one, smoking pizza on a pellet grill is him. 2, ice cream is better for you than rice or pasta. Way better.
Ken, I'll take this as the Bible and just go with it. No more rice or pasta for me.
Makes solid points.
Yeah.
Tastes better, too.
Yeah. Boy, this is, yeah.
So smoking a pizza. So does he have one of those like ovens you put on your grill, or is it its own thing?
Ken, we want more information about how you're doing your pizza here. This sounds fantastic.
We actually want pizza, just if you want.
I love pizza. I also love ice cream. I love all this stuff. I also love donuts. Love a lot of things. Yeah.
Mike Scott next. Number 1, a recruit pledge should be called a hard lean. 2, I'm starting to sour on Troy Weaver. Graham needs to do a roster construction column on the Pistons. Some good talent, but I don't feel the roster works. No young shooters, 4 centers. And 3, regarding downtown Lansing, it's not up to the people who work in Lansing to figure out how to help downtown Lansing. That's why you have a mayor and a staff and a city council. If you can't do the job, don't run.
Yeah, but what you have to understand is what this is a city that was built to house the state of Michigan in a lot of ways, going way, way back. And the biggest mistake, the mistake we paid for 150 years, is whose fucking idea was it to put Michigan State 3 miles away from the capital? Like, if it was like Madison or something, where it was just, they were right there, that's the way it should be. Huge mistake. That person ought to have their gravestone pissed on twice a year, because that's crap. That was a bad decision. Those things should be closer, and I wish there's just no fixing it.
Who has to do the pissing?
We should just randomly. I mean, it could be whoever the
mayor.
Kind
of like jury duty?
Yeah, head of the city council.
Get a letter in the mail, you have to go piss on someone's grave.
I like it. But you get something where a pandemic changes things abruptly and changes the equation for downtown Lansing. There were lots of things that downtown Lansing was trying to build towards, and there are things that need to be done, no question. And there are some things in the works, I do think, as well. I had a conversation with Sarah Anthony, and right after that column ran, and about some of the – I mean, there's money being directed for Lansing right now. Hopefully that can help with a lot of innovation and housing plans, and just getting some things in place that start to make it easier on the businesses downtown. But the problem is you had places that were built to have people downtown 5 days a week, and you lose them to 2 days a week or 3 days a week, and you all of a sudden have half the business, and your business just isn't set up to succeed. On the Pistons, I think there are questions. Ultimately, though, what matters more is that, and you can reconstruct the roster with guys who are role players over time. You need, of your main group, really, you need those guys to become stars. You can find shooters later, but you need those guys to become stars. I agree that the roster construction isn't perfect as it is right now, but we'll see what Jalen Ivey is. Jaden Ivey is. Ivey to me is really a big key here. Cade's a decent shooter, I mean, what is Isaiah Stewart? Is he going to be part of things long term? Is he going to really be a decent shooter? I think there's just so much else they need to worry about and figure out that. But I see your point.
Professor next. Number 1, the NBA lottery should be replaced with a tournament for all teams that don't make the playoffs. Make the teams earn the number 1 pick. And bonus, it is impossible to have pizza without breadsticks. They go hand in hand like burger and fries or spaghetti and garlic bread.
A lot of pizza talk.
It depends on like the pizza place you order from if the breadsticks are good.
Yeah.
Because there's one that we go to I like the pizza, but
I just love pizza. I don't need the breadsticks. I'm a huge pizza person. But my wife is she loves like Little Caesar's Italian cheesy bread.
Yeah.
I'm not,
it's greatest.
It's fantastic. I can do without it though, because I'm already large enough, and I would rather spend my calories on the actual pizza itself.
But if you went to pick up a hot and ready and breadsticks, though, it's impossible to make it home without even busting the.
I have to put
unless your wife yells at you.
I have to put it in the back seat.
So you get 2, like a dummy one. You eat one and then.
Oh, I've done that. The things that I've done where she thinks this is what we got, but this is what we actually got, and it's
except you don't recognize all the garlic parmesan or the Parmesan cheese all over your shirt.
Yeah, you have to, sometimes you come in, you brush your teeth right away, things like that, just to, I wouldn't mind your number 1 idea too, that change the lottery where you have some sort of, but the problem is the players who are on those teams aren't going to be motivated.
Yeah.
They don't care
Take my
about
job.
that. Right. So that's the one, that's the
tank this shit.
That's the issue.
All right. Now do I read all these in a row? 1, 2, 3 in a row?
Yes.
Okay. This is PMCK with Hot Take Limericks. Number 1. Scooter says he's 1,000%, but nothing is etched in cement. Graham calls it a pledge, in part to allege what commitments from teens represent.
Very good.
Is this Judge Smales? 2, Cohen Carr's an exciting recruit, but Couch isn't sure he can shoot. But I can't hear Graham over the sound of the jam as the crowd's deafening roar follows suit. 3, this show is called Couch in the Rube. It's on Apple, Spreaker, and YouTube. It's sponsored by Donuts, and as a cute bonus, a store that will sell you a doob.
Fantastic. Good work from PMC, and worthy of a gift card. That is our
how much effort did that take? Like,
hot take
does that just
of the
come
day.
off the top of the head like Jay-Z, or do you have to like sit down and...
I think there's some work
pretty
that went into
impressive.
that. Yeah, no, I think that's really impressive. It's definitely gift card worthy. PMCK will get a gift card to a sponsor of his choice, be it Front 43 and Cask and Company, Midtown Brewing Company, or Groovy Donuts. And
Great,
we
here
will
come
be
the
in choice.
limericks.
Yeah, no, that's not
Shit.
saying. Yeah. I'm not saying, bad. It just doesn't need to be a show that's all bad limericks, but those are really good, and we appreciate
July?
it. Yeah.
All right. Bo McJunkin's next. Number 1, MSU's football 2018 recruiting class was similar to the 2018 basketball class. A lot of misses for guys who would have been fifth-year seniors last year. 2019 wasn't much better. Give this program 2024 and 25, like Graham says. 2, for the love of God, stop blocking grocery aisles with your conversations about little Billy's finger painting at school and your Sunday shopping car driving. Let's have some effort. 3, I keep trying to find a weakness on this MSU basketball team, and I'm struggling to find it.
Let's do number 3 here. Good stuff from Bo. If I asked you what you thought the weakness of MSU's basketball team would be, what would you say, if there would be one?
Oh, boy. Big fella?
Yeah. I mean, I think that
Sissoko, we're not sure.
it's figuring out the center position and making sure you're a lot better there, because that could be the potential weakness. And I joke about the idea of matchup proof and all that stuff. I mean, they're going to be really good in the backcourt. We've seen what the floor is, and I think they're going to be more competitive and better. And I think they'll have enough shooting. I think Akins has proven that. Walker's proven that. I think Hall will have a decent year if he can stay healthy. They've got a lot of intriguing players. But what are you at guarding big men? And do you have people who can rebound and be rugged? And I think Carson Cooper is a big part of that. Does Sissoko take a step? He'll have every opportunity. We'll see. Kohler, but you're only going to play – you're not going to maybe you play Kohler a little at the 4, and I don't know how it's all going to look. But ultimately – you can say, well, this center does this well and this guy does this well, but you're really only going to have one of them in there at a time. And you need one of them to be able to do what you need to do defensively and rebounding especially. And my money's on Carson Cooper. That's what I've thought and I continue to think. But that's if there's going to be a weakness, that's most likely still it and will be unproven until they show it.
On to his number 2, though. I do agree with people. I don't know why. Some people, by the way, grocery pickup is one of the best inventions since the time clock in baseball. You just show up. I mean, unless you're picky and you need to go in and get certain things, ordering ahead of time and just pulling into that spot is so awesome. But I never understood why people have to bring their whole family. Can't one representative from the family go grocery shop? Do the 9 kids have to come too?
Maybe there's nobody at home to watch the 9 kids.
Yeah, they can take care of each other, can't they?
Depends on the ages.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have kids. These are things you don't think about.
I do. I would just be like, all right, I'll be back in an hour. Do you guys want to eat? Behave.
Again, I do think you should receive extra tax breaks for not having children. I think that
extra. I just want any.
Any, yes.
Richard Kane next. Number 1, the family theme will become a permanent feature of the NBA draft. 2, the other leagues will do the same within a couple of years. And 3, the Pistons will squeak into the 2024 playoffs.
It would be nice if the Pistons were in the playoffs. It would be nice to have that sort of
the play-in game.
Yeah, just something in the postseason that you were excited about. I mean, people here are desperate. It has been a long, dry spell, and thankfully, we have college teams in this state that people care about and have been good and competitive in multiple sports, because the pro teams have just brutal. In other states where I got friends in Chicago, And there's a little bit of Illinois basketball, but very little college moves the needle for people in the city. It's pro sports towns, and if it gets bleak, there's not a whole lot.
And you don't really
there.
think about it, but for better or for worse, having Michigan State athletics is a good distraction from when your other pro teams are ass.
Yeah, most people
I don't really think about it.
A lot of people care more. Yeah, and if you've got you can deal with the Lions. Like you think about that run Michigan State football had for a number of years, you could deal with what was going on with the Lions if MSU football is 10-2 or winning big games or going to a Rose Bowl. It's whatever. Deal with Sunday if Saturday's great. MSU basketball the same way. You can just forget about the NBA. The college stuff is saved people in the state.
Gavin Haas next. Number 1, Oscar Thompson and Marcus Sasser were fantastic picks for the Pistons. Both will be instant impact players on the defensive side of the floor with huge offensive potential for Thompson and needed shooting from Sasser. 2, Michigan State's 2024 football recruiting class is heating up at the right time. Doubts about the class were fair towards the beginning, but Tucker keeps proving that recruiting can continue to develop and grow under him and his staff. 3, as quickly as the Tigers rope you in, they take your interest and throw it right back out. This team can't decide if they want to compete daily or if they want to give up the first sign of adversity.
Yeah, Tigers are fucking frustrating. There's no question. It's just because if they had won today too, they would have been 3.5 back. And I know they're not going to win the division, but it's fun to look at the standings and not see them that far back. I mean, I still remember as a 20-year-old living in Chicago, junior in college, before the Tigers had their run in the 2000s. So this is summer 2000, and at one point in August, they were 4 back out of the wild card. They got Bobby Higginson batting third. They got no shot, but it was cool to see them in the standings. All of a sudden, they were still fighting for something in August, and it fell apart. But this team, you just sort of wanted to be able to look at the standings and say, hey, they're playing for something, and that's not really going to happen.
Kurt Wisniewski next. Number 1, the Michigan Panthers have made the playoffs and ended Michigan pro sports playoff drought. 2, Pistons drafted a 30% from 3 and 65% free throw shooter over under 17 wins. 3, winning the Who Sucks Worse AL Central is a joke and should be contracted.
It almost feels like there are too many divisions because some of these divisions are all above 500 and other.
Yeah, it's not just the Central. I mean, if you look around, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's in the NL's got the same deal going on. I do like Marcus Sasser, by the way, is a guy who can shoot, and I do think will be in the rotation for the Pistons this year. I think it'll be the end of Killian Hayes for the Pistons as well. There we go. Michigan Panthers in the playoffs. You excited?
Yay.
Right.
I didn't know they were
No.
in the playoff. Actually, I did flip through last night and saw Michigan Panthers. I'm like, huh? I just went and watched something else.
To his point on the over-under, I do think there is money next year potentially to make on the Pistons over-under. Because I think they're going to get up close to 30, 31 wins minimum, and I think the over-under is going to be about 26, 27. I think we can be on the Pistons over-under.
Nestle's Quick Hotel next. Number 1, Jason needs to stop C-blocking my man Latz. Imaginary women are the only ones he has a shot with. Let him cook. Sorry. 2, I'll only get excited about a pledge when they compete their full career at MSU.
Complete.
Whatever. 3, Pistons make the playoffs in the next 5 years. That's a bold hot take.
I better not take that long. I do think people are. I can sense it, even with responses on Twitter to people who cover recruiting, that people are less excited about recruits and even big news in recruits and 4-star recruits, especially in football. And I would love to know, love to see inside the numbers and of the on threes and the rivals and the 24/7s to see if they're seeing a decline in readership, because I would think they are. I would be very surprised if they are not. Let's take a really quick break. We come back, plenty more of your hot takes. Couch in the Rue, presented by Skyman Premium Cannabis and our friends at Muskox High Quality Flannels.
Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. If you're looking forward to cool summer nights at the lake or backyard gatherings, make Muskox's spring and summer flannel collection part of your summer experience. Muskox's lighter weight 3 seasons flannel is perfect for warmer weather without sacrificing Muskox's noted softness or high quality. Plus, Muskox donates 10% of every $100 purchased to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Visit GoMuskox.com to find the absolute best flannel for you and use our promo code CAWCAW15 for $15 off your flannel order. Trust us, you've never felt more comfortable than you will in a Muskox flannel.
Christmas is around the corner and beautiful jewelry is on her Christmas list. So where will you go to buy that gorgeous diamond ring or that sparkly diamond necklace or that incredible diamond bracelet? Meadowar Jewelers' 4 locations by the Lansing Mall by Meridian Mall in Jackson and in Portage have the largest selection and the latest designs of beautiful jewelry that she's been dreaming of. If an engagement ring is on your mind, come into Meadowar Jewelers and let our professional staff explain to you all about natural and lab-created diamonds. Our diamonds are set by master jewelers whose passion for their art shows so clearly in each and every piece. So, for that perfect gift that's on her Christmas list, come into Meadowars by the Lansing Mall by Meridian Mall in Jackson and in Portage, and we'll help you find it.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Sky Mint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Sky Mint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Sky Mint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Sky Mint Cannabis. You'll love this place.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, and some new strains at Skymint. Great flavors, pre-rolls, 8 ounces. Some great deals going on right now as well. Go to skymint.com for location information throughout Michigan, or just swing on by any Skymint. They treat you great there. They have unbelievable prices, and they can help you answer your questions on where you want to be on your cannabis journey. And our Sunday night show also brought to you by our friends at Muskox High-Quality Flannels. You can go to gomuskox.com/caw-caw to bundle. Sorry, that sound threw me off for a second.
All right, yeah, threw me off too.
No, you're good. To bundle your flannels and save up to $50. Or if you just want to buy one flannel, you can use the promo code CAWCAW15 for $15 off your flannel purchase. That's at gomuskox.com. And, yeah, Jason.
All right, Clint Bainey up next. Number 1, big recruiting snag for Tucker yesterday with the Anthony Carey commitment. 2, MSU Hoops will start the year ranked number 4 in the AP. 3, Notre Dame enters the Big Ten in 2026. And bonus, I hate the USFL. Let's just end it once and for all. I'd rather watch the WNBA. Okay, I'm lying about watching the WNBA, but let's pull the plug, please.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that you don't have to watch it, and like I don't. I don't even. I just ignore it.
I understand
right?
that, but I wouldn't mind having some sort of football that's entertaining to watch. And it just kind of bums me out that they keep trying this and it doesn't work.
Yeah,
no. That's all. I mean, yeah, you can definitely not watch it. I do.
They haven't found a formula. And the other thing is the NFL season stretches so deep into February now, and the football is such a year-round calendar sport.
But we've talked about it. You have to get some sort of names, not retread and fringe guys that played in major conferences. It's not going to work.
The way it would almost work, this is my idea, would be, you know how they have the basketball tournament in the summer, the with all the guys from like the former college teams, like Syracuse will have a team of former players competing for the $1 million, like the whatever it's called, the tournament or whatever it is. Now I gotta look it up because give me some Hoff because that's gonna drive me nuts. Oh, it's just called the basketball tournament, right? Yeah, right. Okay, so
you didn't remember that?
There's a TBT. That's what they call it. That's the short. I was looking for the shorthand. Yes,
the basketball tournament.
Yeah, I struggle. Anyway, but if you had like the teams in the USFL, XFL, whatever they were made up of and it wouldn't have to be only Michigan players, but you could have a team from Michigan that was only former Michigan college guys, like Michigan, Michigan State, Western, Eastern, Central. People would tune in to guys I used to watch in college. Like that would be a way of having some sort of connection to them, and you could do that sort of throughout the league. That would be my idea to make a football league go that was less than the NFL.
Sports Guy 1919 next. Sports fans nowadays have too many in the moment recency bias takes. Last summer, Mel Tucker was one of the best coaches in the Big Ten. This summer, he's one of the worst after one bad year. If he does well this year, it will be back to the top. Everybody chill out.
Yeah, this goes back when I was talking about recruits not really seeing the big picture and making decisions on a whim. There are a lot of people who make decisions on a whim and struggle to see the big picture. And, it's also, I don't believe you should be able to waste years. And I think Mel Tucker is fair to criticize the money he makes is big boy college football and all that stuff. But it is true that, like we said, even if they went 3-9 this year, if they go 10-2 next, everybody would be back on the Mel Tucker train. I mean, it's just.
But there were reasons to be concerned, I guess. If you're talking about firing a guy, we always say that that's a ridiculous take. But if you're concerned with the competent, how competent the team is looking, or there's certain cases where you can be like, man, and how loyal he was to guys, his coordinator guys too. So I don't mind if people are constructive with it, but yeah, if they just go fire Tucker, then whatever.
Yep.
Suburban Spartan Dad. Number 1, MSU football will get one of their decommitted kids, Jamari Howard or Nick Marsh, to recommit and sign. 2, Trace Jackson Davis to the Warriors will be the steal of the draft. He gets a second contract with Golden State and hangs around the league for a decate.
These are good. Yeah, no, I agree with you on Trace, obviously. I think that's a really good pick, and I think it fits them. He'll be there with Looney and Draymond.
Well, what do you think he does really well?
Well, I think
smart player.
Yeah, and he really improved late in his career. He became a guy who was less of a black hole. He became a guy who used his teammates really well. I think he'll fit. He understands the game well. He's long. He's a better defensive player than people realize. He'll rebound at a decent level, and he'll finish around the rim. Like he'll fit in what they want to do. And he's a smart guy who sees the game, and I think he'll be an effective player at the NBA level, and I think that was missed by a lot of people.
Mr. Benjen, number 1 on a 1 to 10 scale. I care about the Anthony Carey news at a 0. Wake me when he gets the ball in a game. 2, a Fupa Chalupa is the worst kind of chalupa. Hit the Hoff.
All right, what is a Fupa Chalupa? Do you know offhand?
No.
All right, I'll take some Hoff.
Yeah. Look that one up, definitely. It's Fupa, F-U-P-A.
All right, it's a fat. Oh, Jesus. God damn it. A lot of people, this is going to be my Google search.
That's a work computer, right?
Oh, no, but it's the one I use for work.
Fupa, right?
Yeah. Dang it. That was fantastic.
Don't click any links.
Yeah, no, I'm off. I got off quickly. Shoot, I'm going to get all sorts of ads now for that in my saved search. Great.
It's brutal.
Great.
All right. Gross Point Spartan next. Number 1, our media and fans mocking commitments by saying pledge can only do us harm. We're not Bama. 2, what's the Apple Podcast app randomly repeating parts? What's with the Apple Podcast app randomly repeating parts?
Well done. It does. It's weird sometimes. Like when I listen to podcasts on Apple, everyone will be like, "Did he just said that?" And I realize it's just a glitch. It just does that.
And
in a lot
that's
of
only
podcasts.
Apple apparently.
I don't notice it on like Spotify. I notice it with Apple more than Spotify.
So if you listen to podcasts on Apple, and would that annoy you to the point where you would just use another?
No,
podcast
because
player?
it's rare and it's not. It's only like one line. It would be like me saying. It's rare. It's only one line, and then saying it again. You're like, what was that? But it's quick. It's not. By the time you would be annoyed, it's
all right.
It's actually over. To the first point, that the idea that people mocking commitments by saying pledge can only do Michigan State harm, I disagree. Number 1, I think pledge is kind because I don't think recruits have earned that at this point. And pledge is basically a commitment. I use that word just sort of as a reminder that they haven't actually committed to anything because. The evidence is to the contrary, and I don't think they notice it. I don't think they're in on it. I don't think pledge. One of the reasons I use pledge is it's still a word that sort of means commitment. It's still like if you're a recruit who's not in on, doesn't know who I am or doesn't know what that whole spiel is, you're not going to know it. You just think pledge is another word for commitment. I don't think that it's doing any harm to recruiting, and it's not something that people should be concerned about.
Nick Palmer next. Number 1, with the Pistons drafting Sasser, they can finally release Killian Hayes. 2, the Field of 68 is a great media company who actually provides quality content. 3, I want Jason to give his analysis on what's happening in Russia. What's happening in Russia? I know Putin's in trouble, and I know Mo and Franz Wagner are somehow involved. That's pretty much all I know.
They're not Russian, but close, yeah.
But there's a Wagner thing, right?
You did actually.
Yes.
There's an,
how do you say it? Oligarch or something, whatever. One of those guys is turning his back. Like, listen, man, I try to read. I try to comprehend some of this stuff. But,
that went better than I thought it would.
I mean, NewYorkPost.com and Daily Mail, whatever I can get off of those two websites, it's pretty much all I know.
Yeah, no, and, you brought in a couple NBA players. It was good. It was good. That was good analysis.
Yeah.
Well done.
All right. Scott going next. Number 1, shouldn't having a top 5 center and 2 first-round top 15 draft picks equal NCAA tourney? Says a lot about Juwan Howard's coaching. 2, Nick Maton needs to go down to Toledo, bring up Malloy, Keith, or Parker Meadows. 3, as much as I want to believe that the Lions will live up to the hype, one playoff win in our lifetimes is causing me to think otherwise. The curse of the Ford family continues.
It's a core foundation, man. Grit.
One thing that gives me a little hope with Sheila Hamp Ford or Sheila Ford Hamp, whichever order it goes. I was talking last night at another gathering, not the one where I
look at this guy,
mover
and shaker.
It's quite a weekend for me. But there was one of the Detroit News beat writers for the Detroit Lions was there.
Lowe's?
Not Lowe's. No, he works for the Freep.
Oh.
He's a columnist now. They moved him off that. But
what?
Yeah. Well, teach their own.
Oh.
Anyway, but one of the things he was just talking about, and I don't want to give away certain things he's probably working on for a story, but one of the things she has done is sort of remade the organization in terms of from the top down, in terms of how everybody feels like they have a part in things, and sort of the PJ Fleck rowing in the same direction. So that the ticket office guy feels like they're involved, and they're just really she's really tried to change the culture, is what I'm trying to say. So I do have hope that the curse of the Ford family is over with her. You're right. It's just hard to believe in it until we see it, right? I mean,
see anything.
Yeah, I mean
as long as the ticket guy feels like he's a part of shit, that's all that matters to me. Fuck out of here. Matt Venny next, sorry. Number 1, the Lions fan base is a perfect blend of both the MSU and Michigan fan bases. They have the unwavering loyalty, even when they make you feel dead inside, of the Michigan fans. Plus, all the hope is lost. Fatalism. Fatalism? Is that right?
Yep.
At the first sign of adversity, like MSU fans. 2, for the new Big Ten scheduling, both teams had to agree to have a protected rivalry, which shows MSU and Michigan have a true sibling rivalry. They fight, hate, and mock each other in public, but ultimately, one can't imagine life without one another. 3, I saw an article earlier this week with a title about why it's so difficult to find the Titan submersible. Here's a hot take for you. It's in the fucking ocean.
Yeah, it's a long ways down, too. The interesting thing about the protected rivalries, and like Penn State didn't have one because nobody wanted. What I would love to know is who Penn State, if they wanted one. I don't know that Penn State wanted one. I haven't read any. I probably should. There may be articles about it. Did they want a protected rival? And nobody else really was there for them. And Michigan State were always going to. It's just it is a deep rivalry, and you know there may be varying levels of respect, but there's way too much money involved, and people like if Michigan said we don't want to have Michigan State be as a protected rival, it would just further heat up the rivalry, and people at Michigan would be pissed off too. It would make them look like they were running from something as well.
John, next, Boris Johnson returned to be a columnist, and his very first piece for the Daily Mail was about his late-night refrigerator raids of cheddar and chorizo. All right. 1, next he makes up Raccoon Boris, laments about pledges, Tottenham fans, and finds a podcast partner.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
2, Iowa should have had to lock in Ohio State and Penn State as protected rivals for balance. And 3, safe travels this summer. Thank you for the content.
Appreciate you, John. We'll say, Iowa having Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Nebraska every year. You know, it seems like, well, wait a second, they have 3 protected rivals? That is going to alter their schedule. Now, I don't mind it as much because Wisconsin is a really good program. I think Nebraska, while they've struggled forever, I think Matt Rule is a good hire and they're going to get somewhere. Minnesota's been up. Now, those aren't like, you know, if they had said, you know what, we want Rutgers and maybe Indiana. And, you know, like they didn't get, it's not like they went after programs that are just going to be dog shit. Like there'll be years where it's like, wow, that makes their schedule tough. But you're right. It's not like they have Ohio State and Penn State or anything like that. No, Ohio State and Penn State aren't even a protected rival. I mean, that was the one I thought would happen for Penn State. But I bet you Ohio State didn't want to have Michigan and Penn State every year.
Fart soup next. Number 1, Hans Jurgen is Andy Shore's burner account.
That would be incredible.
2, Graham offering the Kalamazoo diaper lady a ride in his car was the most terrifying thing in that lady's life. And 3, Jason's pre-recorded reads are the greatest part of this pod. So emotional, so vivid, so passionate.
Your voice it just, tickles the ivory.
Well,
beautiful.
I do get chances to like redo it as well because it is pre-recorded, so
it's true.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
The live reads are, dude, that would be ass.
Whereas, we actually we don't actually fix things in post.
And rightfully so.
No, that's part of the show is how much we fuck up
and how little effort we put into it.
That's not I don't want people to think we don't put effort into this.
We sure as hell don't edit and post. That's all.
We don't do that. That's true.
All right, Cinemod next. Number 1, selling beer at the stadium will make people less drunk, not more, during the game. 2, Luis Arias is proving that there's more to hitting than exit velocity and launch angle. All the baseball nerds are punching air right now. And 3, Milwaukee is an underrated city to live in.
Milwaukee's a great town. Milwaukee, Wisconsin is a fantastic city. Yeah, I love Milwaukee. Have you ever
underrated? But I know. Yeah, okay. I've not been to Milwaukee, but an underrated city to live in.
Yeah, I think it's underrated because it's
the winners.
You can get your arms around it. It's like, I would say to some people it's probably got a little bit of Grand Rapids, but with the pro sports. You know what I mean? Just a little bit bigger, a little more blue collar. But Grand Rapids has it. It's got. I could live in Milwaukee. I like Milwaukee quite a bit. And to number 1, selling beer at Spartan Stadium will make people less drunk, not more during the game. That's the research. That's what they're counting on, and certainly they're going to use that as a reason to do it. And there's logic behind it. The idea that if you don't drink to a deadline, you are less drunk. I've certainly been at Michigan State games where people are really hammered, They either snuck something in or they showed up hammered. When I was a teenager, I had these grad students puke behind us. I mean, it was disgusting. The whole game. Was
that Dana Nessel or?
It was not.
No. Plus size softball dad next. Number one, not so much of a hot take, but there are fewer places a plus size softball dad doesn't fit in, like South Beach. 2, the girls down here don't dress like the ladies in Maine. And 3, I'm going to die of a heat stroke.
Yeah, you're the wrong time of year to be in South Beach. South Beach in November, incredible. I'll say that. That was
nude beaches.
They're not nude beaches.
I don't know. When I was there was nudity.
Really? In South Beach?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I was
that.
19. My dad and I walked on the beach. I saw boobs. That was a great father-son bonding experience. Check those out.
Oh, another story worth telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington. Unbelievable place for a brunch. Tuesday night trivia, drink after work, a date night. Just a fantastic menu. Go to midtownbrewing.net to check that out. I've been to South Beach once. Was supposed to go when Michigan State beat Miami in football in 21, but had a COVID scare. Didn't actually wind up having COVID, but had a false positive test. Had to cancel the trip. But and it wound up being 95 degrees, and I would have hated it. But went in November of 2012, which, by the way, was like the greatest year ever of travel. I think it was November of 12, because that year the basketball team opens in Germany, Michigan State basketball, so I get a Germany trip out of it. Then the ACC Big Ten Challenge is at Miami. I'm in South Beach. It was just an unbelievable trip. They eat dinner at like 12:30 a.m. on a Wednesday. That's what people do down there, and we were out till 5. Everything's open. It was just,
people love when you travel, though. They like to hear about it.
Are you being facetious?
No. I'm sure people love to hear your like as long as it's a good travel year for Graham.
That's what they're hoping for. Yeah.
It was really top notch this year, guys.
When the schedule comes out.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Yeah. Mojo Jojo next. Number one, the prices MLS teams are charging when Messi and Miami roll into town are absurd. Yes, he's great, but we're talking about the end of career money move to MLS versus a player at the height of his powers. 2, spending a few weeks in Michigan this month, coming from Graham's favorite West Coast town, San Fran, makes me remember how much humidity is ass. I'll take the winter cold over summer swamp ass any day. I don't know how many people in Texas live like this. And 2, that being said, damn, this is a great state. Beautiful seasons, friendly people, super diverse regions and activities. Anyone who's driven through the middle of California and then comes here is lying if they say they prefer California over Michigan. Cue Graham's ad read.
I feel like I would love to do Pure Michigan. I'm actually wearing a Pure Michigan shirt tonight. It's
Are you?
You're watching on, yeah, it's yeah, Michigan's the best. It's just fucking best. And look, I love parts of California.
I'm not talking about Michigan.
Like, there's a restaurant in Big Sur in Northern California one of my favorite places and some of my favorite drives, and there are lots of things I love about California, but Michigan is.
I'm sorry, but the winters are absolute. I would not trade it. I don't. Listen, if you have air conditioning like we do, I mean, it's not as much swamp ass. I get what you're saying, but those winters are devastatingly bad for mental health.
You know what's colder than a winter in Michigan?
A witch's titty.
No, July in San Francisco. Fucking cold as hell there, man. You can't wear shorts. It's windy. I don't even understand why they have a baseball team. It's awful. If you've ever been to a Giants game, I mean, you're just freezing. It's the absolute worst.
Kevin from Rochester Hills. Number one, Mel will end up with a top 10 recruiting class. 2, the Tigers will win the division. And 3, Bob Huggins is thirsty.
These are good hot takes.
Fucking Huggy, man.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Jesus.
But
is it too bad?
Top 10 recruiting class would be something. I think at this point people would love top 20. They would love to see that. And again, it's what they become, but that would be something that they could sort of hang their hat on. If the Tigers win the division, I do have a futures bet. I grabbed it. I probably could get even better now. I put like $25 on. It was like plus 3,200, pays like 800. So it's just like, why not? It was one of those days where the division looked so bad. I was like, why the hell not for that kind of juice?
Why don't you just set it on fire?
Probably should have.
Yeah. Couch on fire next. Number one, you want to believe in the Tigers, it for just a moment, and then nope. 2, pledges, smedges until they sign and stay. It's all just beautiful noise. And 3, these 20-plus run games are wacko. First the Angels and now Florida in the College World Series.
You've seen it more in baseball, in college baseball, I feel like, over time. But, yeah, no, I feel like a lot of people feel more and more like this about recruiting until they sign, until they're part of the program. It doesn't feel as, the words like we've talked about this. People say they landed so-and-so. Nah, they really, I mean, it's better than them going somewhere else or saying they're going somewhere else, but they, let's see what happens. If there was a signing day in August, but I don't think that would be good either, because then these coaches would move on after the season and these players would be stuck or scrambling. I think the signing day should be in February, first of all, only one in February. But I really would love to know how many people or how much people care less about recruiting than they did, say, 5 years ago.
Hans Jurgen next. Number 1, mercenaries are mercurial. This is Andy Shore, huh? 2, Graham once led a coup at the LSJ, but stopped at a cubicle short of the editor and then went into exile in the toilet paper closet.
This might be Andy Shore.
Yeah. 3, try not to blow off a body part this 4th of July, Rube. And bonus, donuts are the best way to celebrate the 4th. #America.
And Groovy Donuts, by the way, has July 4th donuts. You can get them at groovydonuts.com and order ahead of time. Are you doing 4th of July fireworks this year?
I am retired.
Okay.
No, but our dog Mia, she gets really gets a lot of anxiety around 4th of July. So I've retired, and maybe after she dies, I'll pick it back up again. But we basically can't do anything in the 4th of July.
Gotcha.
Which is fine. Listen, I've done it. I've almost blown my hand off plenty of times.
And the west side of Lansing is look, 4th of July, it sounds like a war zone. But I'm wondering, like in Ovid, is it pretty loud?
There's some people in the neighborhood that will light them off around the 4th of July, but everybody is pretty respectable.
So what do you do for Mia then?
We just we turn the radio on, we have the TV loud, we just have a lot of noise so where she can't really hear that.
Differentiate.
She's kind of drugged up with her treats that we have, the relaxation kind of treats.
Gotcha.
So yeah. What can you do? Jake Hawkins next. Number 1, Graham, if and when you decide to run for mayor of Lansing, what's going to be your campaign slogan? Whatever it is, please do so. Lansing just keeps on getting boring and more boring as the years go on. Well, Mr. Non-Boring Graham Couch, just run for it. 2,
Lansing, excitement where the excitement is.
I'd still vote for you, though. 2, when and where is Moneyball being held at? I'm thinking I'd like to get a preview or look at what MSU basketball team is going to look like this year. Also want to see some Cohen Carr slam dunks. Attaboy, Hawk. 3, I think 4th of July is one of the best holidays ever. Good food, nice weather, perfect excuse to get away, and, of course, fireworks show. You guys should check out the fireworks show that the Newport Marina puts on.
Northport.
Excuse me.
Not going to be in Northport this year, but I'm guessing it's good. Moneyball will be at Holt High School, and it starts June 29th. So this coming Thursday, and I'm sure the schedule will be out early this week. But this Thursday, June 29th at Holt High School, I think the games will be at 6, 7, and 8 p.m. If they are as they usually are. But again, the schedule will be out early this week. But again, the Lansing where the excitement is. Right? I don't know. I'll figure something out.
That's it. We have to workshop this.
Yeah.
Finally, the jerk guy. Number 1, men's college basketball needs to move to 4 quarters. 2, the introduction of the three-point line was the worst thing to ever happen to the NBA. And 3, Graham could have run the Tigers better than Avila did.
I think there are a lot of people who feel like they could probably have run the Tigers better than Al Avila did.
Could it be
hindsight.
much worse?
Yeah.
Set a franchise back 15 years.
It was rough. Yeah. I like the three-point line. I agree there's maybe a little too much reliance on it, but I don't know. I don't want to go back to a league with all old-timers shooting two-point mid-rangers and all that stuff. I don't know if I'd love the sport quite as much.
4 corners, get rid of the shot clock.
We appreciate all of your hot takes and producing our show for us, as always. Thanks to our friends at Skymint. Go to skymint.com for location information and daily specials. And, of course, if you want a Muskox flannel for this summer or this fall, go to gomuskox.com and gomuskox.com/caw if you want a bundle of flannel this fall. Appreciate Midtown Brewing Company. We'll be back probably Tuesday night, I'm thinking. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.